Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Amin Gupta, Emeritus Professor at IIT Delhi. Today we are going to talk on the module IG classes and their structure and function. This module also belongs to the paper on immunology. Antibodies are immunoglobulins. They are so called as these are present in the gamma globulin band in the electrophoretic pattern of the serum. In fact, these have various classes and each has a different function. So, in today's module, our objectives are to learn how the structure of IgG was actually established, and we are primarily would be focusing upon the primary sequence of IgG, but we will also refer to the other higher forms of the structure. We will also learn about the different classes of immunoglobulins, and then we will look at the structures and functions. So, the concept map basically would consist of that we will see that an immunoglobulin molecule basically has a structure which consists of two heavy chains which are denoted by H2. It also has two light chains which are here denoted by L2. So, this is the basic unit. In some immunoglobulins, this kind of a structure is repeated. So, those immunoglobulins have more than one kind of H2L2 unit, sometimes joined through some small structural elements. We will also learn that an immunoglobulin G actually have also subclasses. So, we have 4 classes of immunoglobulin G, and we refer to them as IgG gamma 1, IgG gamma 2, IgG gamma 3 and IgG gamma 4. We will shortly see that all immunoglobulins have a similar structure. Establishing a sequence of an immunoglobulin was more challenging than sequencing of a homogeneous polypeptide like insulin or RNase A, because before you start determining the sequence of a protein, you have to have it in a homogeneous form. Immunoglobulins, when they are present in the blood, number one, there are various antibodies, their classes, subclasses, etc. So, actually In those early days, it was an extremely challenging task. The first breakthrough, and we are calling it a breakthrough because it was just a chance happening, and that came through by looking at a homogeneous protein obtained from tumors of a plasma cells. It was in 1847 Henry Burne Jones. Jones was a physician at St. George Hospital in London, and he published a paper. Antibodies are present in the serum. Electrophoretic studies of serum revealed the presence of several proteins. The band identified as gamma globulins consisted of immunoglobulins or antibodies, and hence now the term antibodies and immunoglobulins are often used interchangeably. As has been mentioned before, production of immunoglobulins in response to antigens by the immune system is a part of what we call the humoral immunity. As all animals are invariably exposed to antigens in their lifetime, some antibodies are always present in the serum. We are constantly exposed to microbes. All microbial exposure does not lead to disease or infection. Nevertheless, all microbial invasion produces antibodies. Let us understand one thing very clearly: the distinction between microbial exposure and microbial invasion. Microbial exposure means that we are exposed to the presence of the microbes. Microbial invasion occurs when the microbe is able to overcome all those barriers which we have talked about: epithelia, their secretions, and so on and so forth. As we have seen in the immunization lecture, in the experimental context, intentional exposure to the antigens also produces antibodies. That means when we pick up a particular animal and intentionally expose it to the antigen, specific antibodies are produced by the animals. We have also now understood that a single antigen has many antigenic determinants, which were in the older literature were called epitopes. Each epitope or antigenic determinant will produce a specific antibody against it. Hence, at any time, the gamma globulin fraction would be highly heterogeneous in nature. We mentioned the importance of the Burne-Jones proteins. Let us look at a little bit of history here. Philosophical Transactions of the Royal Society of the London mention the following: on the 1st of November 1845, I received from Dr. Watson the following note with a test tube containing a thick yellow semi-solid substance. The tube contains urine of very high specific gravity. When boiled, it becomes highly opaque. On the addition of nitric acid, it effervesces, assumes a reddish hue, becomes quite clear, but as it cools, assumes the consistency and appearance which you see. Heat reliquefies it. What is it? The further research with this material actually led to the discovery of Baines-Jones protein, which turned out to be a monoclonal globulin protein or immunoglobulin light chain found in the urine with a molecular weight of 20 to 24 kilodalton. Detection of Baines-Jones proteins may be suggestive of multiple myeloma. In fact, the mollitus osmium which was mentioned in that old paper is the one which is now called multiple myeloma, the cancer of the plasma cells. These Baines-Jones proteins, despite about 700 papers published related to them, remained a biochemical curiosity, but nevertheless these have turned out to be a valuable diagnostic test for multiple myeloma, especially in the early days. The figure here shows the pattern from the protein electrophoresis from the serum, both for a normal person as well as from the serum of a patient suffering from a multiple myeloma. By 1959, it became clear that the immunoglobulins, normally referred to just as Ig, consisted of multiple chains. This insight came from the work emanating from the laboratory of Edelman at Rockefeller Institute in USA. These chains appear to be of two kinds and were called light chains and heavy chains because of the considerable difference in their sizes and the molecular weight. Obviously, the one having a smaller size or less molecular weight were called light chains, and the bigger ones were called heavy chains. Somewhere down the line, it also became obvious that immunoglobulins have different classes. It was also found that the immunoglobulin G, a particular class of the immunoglobulin, is present in the largest amount in the serum, and this is normally denoted by IgG. All immunoglobulins are specific to that particular antigen, but each in fact is specific to a particular antigenic determinant. This can be seen from the figure here that while all the antibodies are bound to a particular antigen, different antibodies bind to the antigen at their specific antigenic determinants. That is how an antigen antibody complex is formed. In 1962, Edelman's lab at Rockefeller confirmed that Baines-Jones proteins were in fact light chains of the immunoglobulin G molecule. Baines-Jones proteins produced by myeloma tumors were homogeneous, they were easy to isolate and purify. This ease in isolation and purification originated from the fact that when the urine containing these proteins was heated, this led to their precipitation in pure form. This was a very helpful finding because these smaller chains, which were part of the whole immunoglobulin G molecule, they become the first target of amino acid sequencing. It emerged that different individuals produced Bence-Jones proteins of a different sequence. However, it was found that these Bence-Jones proteins, which consisted of a long polypeptide containing 214 amino acids, these varied in sequence only up to 109 amino acid. Beyond this, all had essentially the same sequence. The myeloma patients, in fact, synthesize complete immunoglobulin G of the same kind, and this became a valuable source of obtaining homogeneous immunoglobulin G. Sequencing the first IgG was a tremendous task. IgG molecule has 19,996 atoms. It is about 25 times larger than the insulin, which was the first polypeptide ever to be sequenced, which earned Frederick Sanger his first Nobel Prize. The second protein and the first enzyme which was sequenced was bovine pancreatic ribonuclease A. Bovine pancreatic ribonuclease has only 124 amino acids. The sequencing of the bovine pancreatic ribonuclease A also fetched a Nobel Prize to the Rockefeller Group. Gross and Wittkopf had found out that cyanogen bromide cleaves polypeptides very specifically at the positions occupied by methionine amino acid residue in a protein chain. It was found that cyanogen bromide cleavage produced 7 fragments from the heavy chain, and the smaller L chain produced 3 fragments. By the time Edelman's group got going on the sequencing of immunoglobulin, Jerker Porath, along with the Pharmacia group in Sweden, has developed the technique of gel filtration. Pharmacia was already marketing Cefadex as a gel filtration media. All these fragments were separated by gel filtration. All immunoglobulins turned out to have a 4-chain structure of H2L2. This 4-chain structure is in fact the basic structural unit present in all classes of the immunoglobulins. The 2 heavy chains are linked to each other by disulfide bonds, and each heavy chain is linked to a light chain by a disulfide bond. These intramolecular disulfide bridges create compact structural units called domains. These domains are shown as VH, VL, CH1, CH2 and CH3 in the figure. The domains are also sometimes called as regions. The IgG molecule consists of 2 symmetrical units joined by 1 interchain disulfide bridge. The N-terminal half of the H chain and all of the L chain are also connected with an interchain disulfide bridge. This part of the molecule is called FAB fragment. The subscript AB refers to the fact that this portion has the binding site for the antigen. Thus, AB subscript refers to antigen binding property of the fragment. As the immunoglobulin molecule is symmetrical. Each IgG has two Fab fragments. The C-terminal half of each H chain constitutes Fc fragment. The subscript C refers to the fact that it was found to be easily crystallizable for X-ray diffraction studies. We had mentioned that Porter also shared the Nobel Prize with Edelman. R. Porter at Oxford, UK used a protease papain to break IgG into three fragments of nearly equal size. Two identical fragments were called Fab for antigen fragment binding. The third different one was called Fc, as it was found to crystallize easily. So it was he who named these fragments. Fab was found to bind to the antigen but did not precipitate it at any concentration. It was the further work by Michael Green and Robert Valentine which showed that another protease, pepsin, cleaved Ig differently. The two Fab fragments were held together by a disulfide bond. The difference in the fragmentation pattern by the papain and pepsin is shown here. With papain, IgG produces three fragments of similar size, two Fab and one Fc. Pepsin digestion produces one Fab2 fragment and numerous small peptides of the Fc portion. Kabat and Wu plot shows the variability of the amino acid sequence in both H chains and L chains among different antibodies. The different antibodies are against different antigens and antigenic determinants, and hence the variability reflects the origin of the antibody specificity. Hypervariable regions obviously constitute the antigen binding sites. Affinity labeling experiment confirmed the existence of hypervariable regions. Hypervariable regions are sometimes called complementarity determining regions, CDRs. Now we know that there are 5 different classes of immunoglobulins: IgG, IgE, IgD, IgA and IgM. All contain the same 4 chains, that is H2L2 units. IgA and IgM have more than one H2L2 unit. As we can see, IgM is actually a pentamer. Antibodies have 5 different kinds of heavy chains called mu, delta, gamma, epsilon and alpha chains. These heavy chains, called the H chains, are present in IgM, IgD, IgG, IgE and IgA respectively. That is, IgM has a mu heavy chain, IgD has a delta kind of heavy chain, gamma heavy chain is part of the IgG, epsilon heavy chain is a part of IgA and IgA has a heavy chain called the alpha chains. It is these different kinds of heavy chains which actually distinguish these different classes of antibody molecules or immunoglobulins. The molecular weights of the H chain in IgG, that is the gamma chain, is in the range of 50 to 55 kilodalton. In any given immunoglobulin molecule, the 2 heavy chains and the 2 light chains are identical. This means that an antibody molecule has two identical antigen binding sites. Immunoglobulins have two different kinds of light chains. No matter what their classes are, these two kinds of light chains called L chains are called kappa and lambda. Each has a molecular weight of 23 kilodalton. So, a given immunoglobulin either has kappa chains or lambda chains, never one of each. That is, any immunoglobulin molecule will either solely consist of kappa chains or solely consist of lambda chains. No functional differences have been found between antibodies having lambda or kappa light chains, and either type of light chain may be found in antibodies or immunoglobulins of any of the 5 major classes. IgG actually has subclasses, and in these subclasses the heavy chains are different and are called gamma 1, gamma 2, gamma 3 and gamma 4. IgG is found in the vascular spaces as well as extravascular spaces and secretions. Major IgG is found in the serum as well as during the secondary response to many antigens. In humans, IgG is capable of moving across placenta and thus protect the growing fetus. In humans, IgG, we have already mentioned, has 4 subclasses. Their concentrations are different in human serum, with IgG1 having the highest concentration. All can cross the placental barrier but differ in the nature of their heavy chains. All IgG subclasses except IgG4 can bind to C1q to activate the complement via the classical pathway. It can act as opsonine. Fc part plays an important role here. For example, many large granular lymphocytes have Fc receptors. FcR4 is the receptor on the placental cells that can bind to all IgG subclasses and enable their fetal circulation. However, this effector function follows the order that the IgG1 is more than the IgG3, which is more than IgG2, and which is far more than the IgG4. During development of the immune system, IgM is the first IgG to be produced. It is also the first Ig to be produced during the primary immune response. It is capable of complement fixation. The so-called T-independent antigens produce antibodies with IgM as the main component. It has a molecular weight of 970 kilodalton, making it the largest Ig. Its heavy chain is mu. It has J chain, which is also synthesized by B cells but coded by a gene different from those coding for IgG. IgD is present in serum and traces. It is co-expressed along with IgM as a cell surface receptor on differentiating B cells. Mature B cells, which are sometimes referred to as plasma cells, do not have IgD on their surfaces. During encounter of B cells with antigens, IgD regulates B cell function, leading to internalization of the antigen, which after processing is presented to Th cells. IgA also has two subclasses, IgA1 and IgA2, with identical molecular weights of 160 kilodalton. The subclasses have alpha 1 and alpha 2 as heavy chains. The concentration of IgA1 in human serum is much higher than IgA2. IgA protects the mucous membranes and is present in all secretions as the most abundant Ig. In those species in which IgG is not transferred across the placenta, it is IgA which protects neonates. It is present in colostrums. IgA can form dimers and polymers. It is present in humans as monomers only and mostly as dimers in other animals. It contains a secretory component called SC as well as a joining chain, the J chain. SC stabilizes IgA and is involved in its transport of exocrine IgA. J chain helps in the dimerization of the secretory IgA. The concentration of IgA in serum is the lowest among all the IgG under normal conditions. Its heavy chain is epsilon and the molecular weight is 188 kilodalton. Apart from IgM, it's the only Ig having 5 heavy chain domains. Other Ig have 4 heavy chain domains. It's not involved in complement activation. IgE binds to mast cells and basophils which have high affinity Fc receptors. Consequently, these cells release mediators of inflammation after contact with the antigen. IgE mediates type 1 hypersensitivity reactions. It plays a very important role also in protection against helminthic infections. This table at the end summarizes the physicochemical properties of the various human immunoglobulins. It is to be noted that all immunoglobulins are glycoproteins. IgM is the largest immunoglobulin. Its multivalency makes it a very effective cross-linking immunoglobulin. So students, let us now summarize what we have learnt in this module. We learnt that Bence-Jones proteins turned out to be the first step in understanding IgG structure. IgG sequence was established first and we found that it has 2 H chains and 2 L chains. We also learned that IgG structure is the basic structural unit for the structure of other classes of Ig. We learned that there are 5 classes of immunoglobulins: IgG, IgA, IgM, IgD and IgE. These structures are now known and their individual functions are also now fairly well understood. We saw how an old observation about some abnormal protein in the urine of the myeloma patients paved the way for our understanding immunoglobulin G structure. The concurrent developments in protein chemistry like cyanogen bromide cleavage method and gel filtration as a separation method helped in establishing the structure of immunoglobulin G, which at that time was a challenging problem. Eventually, the structures and functions of all 5 classes of immunoglobulins were established. Thank you.